Welcome to the deep dive. We're all chasing efficiency, aren't we? I mean, who doesn't want things to be easier, faster?
Right.
And AI, well, it promises exactly that. Streamline tasks, make life easier, maybe even make us smarter. Seems perfect.
The ideal co-pilot, you might say.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if that amazing efficiency comes with a hidden cost? What if the very tools we think are amplifying our abilities are actually maybe quietly eroding them?
And that's precisely the mission for our deep dive today. We're going to unpack this fascinating and, frankly, pretty alarming idea, AI-induced human skills degradation.
Okay.
We'll explore how our increasing reliance on AI might be, reshaping our cognitive abilities, affecting everything, really. Critical thinking, decision-making.
So it's not just about coding or something technical.
Not at all. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial for, well, anyone using AI. Students, seasoned professionals, everyone in between.
And for this deep dive, we're not just speculating. We're drawing from a lot of sources, right?
Oh, yeah. Cutting-edge research papers, big studies, warnings from experts across different fields.
And they're all pointing towards a pretty significant concern.
Yes, the potential erosion of really essential human skills, both cognitive and professional, is something we need to pay attention to.
Definitely sounds like a wake-up call. Let's get into it. So
Yeah.
let's jump into the core problem then, this paradoxical impact of AI.
Right.
Because on one hand, it's designed to boost performance, lighten the load, make us more accurate, make us better.
That's the promise.
But recent research is showing this twist. Using AI can actually diminish our cognitive abilities. It can impair our judgment, slow our responses, especially when the AI messes up.
And that's the key part. It's not just about the AI being wrong sometimes. Everyone knows tech isn't perfect.
Sure.
It's about how interacting with that imperfect AI fundamentally changes us, how we think and react.
Okay, so it changes our own process.
Exactly. There's even a term for it that's popping up in the research, AI-induced skill decay.
Skill decay, wow.
Yeah. It basically means our abilities can atrophy from, well, disuse. Some studies have shown people actually perform worse using faulty AI advice than if they'd just worked alone.
Worse. Not just the same, but actively worse.
Actively worse. So it's not just forgetting how to do something. It's like a deeper change in our cognition. It can even make experts, people who really know their stuff, less likely to spot when the AI is wrong.
So they trust it too much, even when their gut might say otherwise.
Sort of, yeah. They fail to correct the error. It's subtle, almost invisible, this sort of rewiring that happens. And, the consequences of this cognitive decline, they're obviously most severe and honestly quite scary in those high-stakes areas. Safety-critical fields.
Like what specifically? Do the studies give examples?
They do, very concrete ones. Take healthcare. There was a controlled experiment with ICU nurses.
Okay.
When an AI early warning system gave them misleading predictions. The nurses performed, get this, 96% to 120% worse than if they'd had no AI help at all.
120% worse. How is that even possible?
Well, in one case, the AI missed a patient deteriorating it. It failed to flag a gradual heart rate increase, which is a known precursor to cardiac arrest. It labeled the patient low risk.
Oh, wow.
So, relying on that faulty low-risk label, the nurses made actively worse decisions than they would have based on their own judgment without the AI.
That is genuinely alarming. So it's not just about being less efficient. It can actually lead to real harm.
Precisely. And it's not just healthcare, aviation too. A simulation showed a flight crew relying heavily on an AI weather system. They failed to spot a microburst during landing approach until it was almost too late. They had to execute this really dangerous maneuver in bad conditions.
Because they'd essentially outsourced their vigilance to the AI.
You could say that. And the warnings extend to areas like nuclear energy, too. It highlights this broad risk wherever human expertise is that final safety net.
So, okay, this is happening in these critical fields. But what does it mean for, the rest of us, if you're not a pilot or a surgeon?
That's a great question. Because this fundamental shift from being an active problem solver to more of a passive overseer.
Just kind of watching the AI do its thing?
Right. That has wider implications. It affects how we learn, how we think, how we make decisions every day, even in tasks that seem pretty routine.
Okay, so let's unpack that. How exactly does AI erode our skills?
Right.
What are the mechanisms at play here? The sources must get into this.
Oh, they do. There are several key mechanisms. One of the big ones is cognitive offloading.
Offloading, like handing off tasks.
Exactly. It's our sort of natural tendency to delegate mental work, memory, analysis, decision-making to external tools, like AI.
We do it with calculators, with GPS.
Right. But when we frequently offload these cognitive tasks, we're not exercising those mental muscles. Over time, the neural pathways for critical thinking, for problem solving, they can weaken.
Use it or lose it, basically.
Pretty much. And studies are showing a strong negative link. The more you use AI, the lower your critical thinking performance can be.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense. But isn't the argument sometimes made that offloading the grunt work frees us up for higher level thinking? More creativity?
That is the ideal scenario, absolutely. And it's part of the paradox. AI should free us up.
What?
But what the research is suggesting is that the act of offloading itself, even for seemingly simple tasks, might weaken the underlying cognitive muscles we actually need for those higher functions too.
Ah, so it's not a clean trade-off.
It seems not. And often this happens subtly. Which brings us to another mechanism, skill decay without awareness.
Meaning we don't even realize it's happening.
Exactly. Unlike, say, forgetting how to ride a bike, cognitive skills can fade without obvious signs. Think of a radiologist using AI for tumor detection.
Okay.
They might still get the diagnosis right with the AI's help, but their own independent ability to spot subtle things unaided. That might be eroding quietly. The AI keeps the performance high, so the expert doesn't notice their own proficiency dropping.
That's unsettling. You think you're still at the top of your game, but you're actually becoming dependent.
It's insidious, yeah. And very hard to combat because it's hidden. Another factor is external memory dependence. This is related to the Google effect.
Right. The idea that we don't remember things we know we can easily look up.
Precisely. That concept came from Sparrow, Liu, and Wegner back in 2011. When we constantly rely on AI to store or recall information, facts, procedures, whatever, we're essentially training our brain not to internalize it.
We just retrieve it from the machine.
Exactly. We don't encode it deeply. This weakens our long-term memory pathways. I mean, think about it. How often do you really memorize directions anymore, or even phone numbers?
Guilty as charged. My phone is definitely my external brain for a lot of that stuff.
We all do it to some extent.
Yeah.
And this ties into reduced critical thinking. Heavy AI use seems linked to just accepting the output without much question.
Taking it at face value more often.
Yeah. A 2025 study actually found a strong, statistically significant negative correlation. The more people used AI tools, the lower their critical thinking scores tended to be.
That's a really stark finding. It shows how quickly we can become less critical evaluators.
It does. And finally, there's the impact in the workplace, specifically workplace de-skilling.
De-skilling.
Yeah, when expert-level tasks get delegated to AI, it can lead to diminished judgment and even a reduced sense of responsibility among professionals. There's an example of a software engineer, 12 years experience. He said he felt he was becoming worse at his own craft because the AI could instantly explain complex documentation he used to have to struggle through and understand himself.
So the convenience actually undermined his deep learning process.
Over time, yes. It eroded those foundational skills, even for someone highly experienced.
Okay, this is fascinating and a bit scary, but here's where it gets really interesting, psychologically. AI can apparently make us believe we understand more than we actually do.
Yes, this is the whole area of illusions of understanding. It's this false sense of competence we get because the AI explains things so clearly or guides us so smoothly.
So we feel smart but haven't done the work.
Kind of. There are different flavors. One is the illusion of explanatory depth. You feel you understand something deeply because the AI laid it out so well.
But you haven't truly internalized it.
Right. Then there's the illusion of exploratory breadth. You think you've considered all the angles because the AI gave you options.
But you only looked at what the AI suggested.
Exactly. You're limited by its perspective or data. And then there's the illusion of objectivity. We tend to trust AI outputs as being neutral, factual.
Forgetting about inherent biases and how it was trained or designed.
Precisely.
Wow. It's like a cognitive magic trick. We're fooled into thinking we're more capable than we are. How does that affect our confidence then when we don't have the AI?
It can have a huge impact. These illusions. They're often made worse by how conversational AI chatbots are now. They feel human-like, so we trust them more uncritically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And all this feeds into a decline in our metacognitive skills.
Metacognition, meaning?
Our ability to self-assess, to know what we know, and crucially, what we don't know. We lose the ability to spot our own knowledge gaps.
Which is fundamental for real learning, right? Knowing where you need to focus.
Absolutely. It's a dangerous blind spot.
This clearly has massive implications for learning and development, not just for kids in school, but professionals too. Where are we seeing the biggest impacts?
Well, the educational impact is definitely a major concern. Research out of the University of Pennsylvania, for instance, they found students using AI for practice problems actually did worse on tests compared to students who do the problems themselves.
Worse again, not just no benefit, but actually detrimental.
Yes. It strongly suggests that using AI this way can get in the way of developing real understanding and critical thinking. Another systematic review looked at AI dialogue systems in education. Found nearly 70% of students showed increased academic laziness, and almost 28% showed degraded decision-making skills,
Oh.
all linked to over-relying on the AI.
So the tools meant to help learning could actually be making students less capable learners. That's a tough paradox for educators.
It really is. And then there's the professional impact, beyond those high-stakes fields we already talked about.
Right.
Software developers using AI tools again. One study found they took 19% longer to finish tasks.
Longer. But don't these tools promise speed?
They do, and here's the kicker. The developers believe they were 20% faster.
Whoa! A total mismatch between perception and reality.
Exactly. A huge misperception of efficiency, which masks that underlying skill decay. It can even lead to something called debugging despair.
Debugging despair. What's that?
The satisfaction you get from solving a really tricky bug yourself, that gets replaced by frustration when the AI can't just instantly fix it. It weakens their ability to diagnose tough problems independently.
That sounds incredibly demoralizing. Does this affect everyone equally, or are some groups more prone to this?
The research suggests some demographic moderators. Younger users, say 17 to 25, tend to show higher dependence on AI and score lower on critical thinking tests compared to older groups.
The digital natives.
Possibly. Their lifelong exposure might make them more inclined to offload thinking. Interestingly, though, higher education seems to act as a buffer.
How so?
People with more advanced education tend to hold on to their critical thinking skills better, even with frequent AI use.
Yeah.
Probably because their training emphasized critical evaluation, resisting those illusions of understanding.
Okay, so formal critical thinking training might offer some protection. We've talked a lot about the cognitive side, but what about broader effects? Psychological, social consequences of this AI reliance?
Yeah, they're maybe less obvious than a misdiagnosis, but they're there. This erosion of our own abilities. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, lower self-confidence, even a sense of helplessness when people try tasks without the AI they become used to.
I can see that, feeling like you can't function without the tool.
Right. And socially, if we lean too heavily on AI for communication or even companionship, it could reduce our human-to-human interaction.
Leading to more isolation.
Potentially, yeah. Which could also diminish empathy, interpersonal skills, and that lack of social learning and feedback might even feed back into cognitive decline. It's all interconnected.
Okay, this paints a pretty concerning picture. So it begs the question, how do we navigate this? How do we get the benefits of AI without, well, losing ourselves? What are the mitigation strategies?
That's the crucial question, and the experts are clear. The answer isn't ditching AI. It's about using it much more thoughtfully, more strategically.
Okay.
Several strategies are emerging. First, nuanced AI design. We need to build AI systems that actually encourage active thinking, not just passive acceptance.
How would that work?
Maybe AI that prompts you to think critically, asks clarifying questions, or presents info in a way that requires you to synthesize it, not just read a final answer.
So AI as a Socratic partner almost, not just an answer machine.
Something like that. AI is a true co-pilot, not the autopilot. Second, training protocols.
For users.
Yes. Organizations using AI need to build in requirements for people to perform tasks without the AI periodically, just to make sure those core human skills stay sharp.
Like practice drills.
Exactly. Some professionals are even doing no AI days, deliberately setting aside the AI tools to rebuild those foundational skills and confidence. Think of it like cross-training for your brain.
That's a really practical idea anyone could try. What else?
Third, educational awareness.
Yeah.
This is huge. We need to actively teach people, students, workers, everyone, about the risks. Cognitive offloading, those illusions of understanding.
Make the invisible visible.
Right, and promote skills like deep reading, independent writing, critical analysis. Actively push back against just clicking accept on whatever the AI generates. Finally, we need better evaluation frameworks.
How we measure success.
Yeah. We need to go beyond just looking at average performance improvement with AI. We need something like joint activity testing.
What's that?
It means evaluating how humans and AI work together across a whole range of situations, easy ones, hard ones, and especially those rare but critical failure scenarios. That's where you really see the impact on human judgment and skill.
Okay. This deep dive has really laid out the challenge clearly. AI offers incredible power, incredible efficiency, no doubt about it. But we absolutely have to be vigilant about these hidden costs to our own abilities.
It's not about being anti-AI at all.
No, it's about being smart, being intentional about how we integrate it.
Exactly. And maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. The goal isn't rejection, it's thoughtful integration. How do we make sure AI serves to augment us, not replace our core cognitive functions?
How do we ensure our skills grow alongside the tech instead of fading away?
Right. How do we preserve the depth, the independence, the authenticity of human thought in a world that's increasingly driven by AI?
So, a question for you listening. As you use AI this week, maybe pause and think. Beyond the convenience, where might it be subtly shaping your thinking?
And what cognitive costs, if any, are you willing to pay? It's about finding that balance.